2 days ago, a 20-year-old NYU student was walking to class when a homeless serial sex offender with 16 prior arrests slapped her, grabbed her, and then threw her to the ground.
This morning at 9:20 a.m., walking to class on Broadway off of Waverly Place where that Fresh & Co is. And as I'm walking with my headphones on listening to music, I feel something slap me so hard, literally on my ass, so hard. And I was oh my god, ow, that hurts so bad. And I was oh, I thought it was one of my friends. So I was gonna turn around and be ow, that hurt so bad, why did you do that? But when I turned around, I just saw this old white guy, and right when I turned around, he grabbed my hair like this and yanked me and threw me to the ground. My headphones went flying, and I was just on the ground, and I saw him just bolt away down Waverly, and I was holy, what the happened? This group of girls, they're so nice. They came up to me and they were they helped me up. They're are you okay? And then you can see that he literally followed me across the street, and that's him right there, and he literally targets me and approaches me and does this.
This was just 2 days ago. And yesterday, Zohran Mamdani announced that he's ending all homeless encampment sweeps the second he becomes mayor. This was his response, pretty much, to this NYU student Amelia's sexual assault on the streets of New York City.
If you are not connecting homeless New Yorkers to the housing that they so desperately need, then you cannot deem anything you're doing to be a success. We are going to take an approach that understands its mission is connecting those New Yorkers to housing, whether it's supportive housing, whether it's rental housing, whatever kind of housing it is. Because what we have seen is the treatment of homelessness as if it is a natural part of living in this city, when in fact it's more often a reflection of a political choice being made time and time again.
Hey, Nick, go ahead.
As somebody who used to be a diehard liberal, I am ashamed to believe and admit that I used to support just broad sweeping liberal policies like this one. Today, I am terrified for myself and every other woman that lives in New York City. This could have been me. This could have been any other woman here in New York City. In fact, I myself have had several terrifying encounters with the homeless here in New York. And luckily, I have never been physically harmed, but I remember telling friends as far back as 2020 that I was afraid on the subway and even in my own neighborhood here in Brooklyn. And several of them just ignored me and didn't believe me and told me that I was being paranoid and that they always feel safe. So it must just be me. When I was woke, I thought these types of sweeps or just overreaching policies like encampment sweeps were inhumane and that homeless people needed somewhere to stay because where else are they going to go? The reality of the situation is that the homeless criminal population in New York has more sympathy and gets more empathy from liberals these days than vulnerable populations such as women. You will hear a bunch of liberal women defending Zohran's policies because, again, this is just about them virtue signaling, and maybe fortunately for them, they have also never been attacked physically by somebody on the street. The most I've ever personally been attacked by a homeless person was when I got elbowed by them just walking by, but I know people that have been spit on, and I've also had really scary encounters where it felt that I was just moments away of really harmful physical encounters. The people that voted for Zohran Mamdani are the people that are privileged enough pretty much to never have to take the subway. Clearly, they don't take the bus because if they did, they would know that making buses free is not going to change anything because nobody pays for the bus in the first place. But these people take Ubers and taxis everywhere, and they're not taking public transit and walking around on the street to go to school. What's really sad is that this student, who's a 20-year-old NYU student, probably voted for Zohran Mamdani if she's registered in New York. You know, I don't want to make assumptions, so there's no way I can know this for sure, but based on the general population and the political affiliations of NYU students, this is a prime example of suicidal empathy, when we are literally seeing that we all live in a reality where there are many violent criminals in New York City running loose thanks to cashless bonds and just constant turnover of people that have been arrested and then just placed back on the street. So we see Zohran Mamdani. He goes on to say whether it's supportive housing, whether it's rental housing, whatever kind of housing it is, because what we have seen is the treatment of homelessness as if it is a natural part of living in the city, when in fact it is more often a reflection of a political choice being made. The irony on this is that pretending like this is a natural part of life is basically what he is claiming he's going to do by just turning a blind eye to homeless encampments and tent encampments and not sweeping them and moving them into shelters. Pretending like the world works in all of the ways that we wish it worked doesn't resolve anything. Most of the homeless people in New York City, and I have talked about this before, suffer from mental illnesses. It is not just the fact that they don't have access to housing. A lot of them have access to housing, but they don't stay in the housing due to their mental illnesses. This is not something that is resolved truly just through housing. If they wanted to talk about mental health reforms, fine. But just saying that you're going to end encampment sweeps puts everyone at risk. It puts homeless people at risk, but it also puts the general public at risk and innocent people. This guy that was just arrested again for assaulting this NYU student has had 16 prior arrests. This isn't about compassion. This is literally putting predators back on the streets. Compassion that ignores the safety of innocent women is not compassion. It is literally virtue signaling that gets people hurt. James Rizzo was just released from state prison this past September after serving only 2 years for persistent sexual abuse. He was also charged with attempted murder in 1997 for beating and stabbing a man in Brooklyn when he was only 17 years old. But hey, all of these people, we should have faith in reforming them and that they can live successfully in society. And this all just came weeks after we saw a man who literally is being accused of raping a 12-year-old girl in a Brooklyn apartment building. And this man was also somebody who has a really lengthy record of prior arrests, catch and release. It is a story that if you have lived in New York City for long enough, you are well familiar with. Prior to this latest event with the 12-year-old girl, this man was convicted for rape in 2019. And you're telling me that he is just roaming the streets amongst us? When are people going to stop prioritizing feeling good about themselves and prioritizing the actual reality, the safety needs, the economic needs, and the hard decisions that need to be made? When are we going to finally grow up and realize that we need to make hard trade-offs in order to protect the masses of innocent people that pay their taxes, that want to feel safe, and living in New York City of all places where we are paying so much money in rent and going to NYU, like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So why is it that we are consistently releasing criminals with long histories of assault and even worse crimes just to say that we are soft on crime and we support the homeless and we are helping everyone? Who are you helping? Zohran's policies might feel good on paper for all of these liberals in New York City, but women like this one at NYU are paying the price. I'm done pretending that this is progressive policies. This is not progressive policies. This is an ego trip. This is an ego trip to win compliments and credibility inside of elite liberal circles. This does not do anything for the standard liberal or conservative person living in New York City. I am disgusted by this as a young woman living in New York City who is often taking the train, walking around by myself. I have seen this happen all the time. I see homeless people harass people constantly. It's happened to me. They spit on people. They punch people. We've saw it even with the whole viral trend of women coming forward and saying that they were punched in the face by homeless people. So I am done pretending like this is not happening. And people in New York City need to wake up, literally wake up, and protect the people that need them to protect them the most. This is honestly horrifying, and we are just at the beginning. He is not even mayor yet. So stay safe out there. Let me know your thoughts on this, and I'll see you in the next one.